Call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. All board members are present. And at this time, we will go into public comment on closed session items. At this time, any person may address the board on any closed session item or any item not listed on the agenda. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the board cannot consider issues or take action on requests during this comment period. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person per item and 20 minutes per topic. And do I need to list all of that right now, or I just call?
You need to list what's in closed session.
All right, so in closed session today, we will be going over conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, Cordova versus Cloverdale Unified, and miscellaneous 192340, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, August 21st, 2023, demand for reimbursement by attorney Barry Bennett, counsel for Betha McLean, and then public employment, employment certificated classified in management, resignation and retirement for certificated classified in management, and public employee performance evaluation, superintendent. So at this time, we will call Molly Fisher.
Thank you for this opportunity to address the board. Thank you all for your service. I come to you today not to discuss buildings, nor equipment, nor curriculum. I come here to tell you that I'm one of the many people here in Cloverdale who's paying attention to you. Like many of your neighbors here, I haven't got kids in the district at this time, but I watch school board meetings via YouTube. Thank you for providing that. I read agendas and packets, and I follow the local news. And I also hear some of the local gossip, and I see social media. So therefore, I'm pretty well familiar with the campaigns against certain school board trustees and the former superintendent by some of our local activists. While I too wish Angela Cordova had had her facts straight before she tried to sue Ms. McLean, she did not, and she lost. There are no appeals in small claims. I know Angela Cordova is not going to drop it because she literally told me so. She's told everyone. She stated her vindictive goal, and I quote her email to the school board and attorney Scott Perry of August 18th, 2023. I will continue, she says this, I will continue to pull you away from your productivity towards our school and staff. I will continue to go to your meetings, and I will continue to waste your valuable time and resources since you did that to me and many others. Well, that seems like it might infringe on the rights of the students and the taxpayers. In IT security, this is called a denial of service attack. She intends to tie up all your time, denying students the work you have to do to allow the public school to provide the compulsory education that we must have. This is an attack against the community that Ms. Cordova loves so much. I'm here to offer you words of encouragement. Don't give up. We see you. We see you working hard. We see you being patient. We see you being civil. You're still working. You're setting a good example for the students and for the community. And you're remaining productive and collaborative, and you're even working with this difficult parent. She's not always wrong. Please don't try to stop her by settling with her when the district is in the right. Please don't worry about more litigation. Please hang in there and continue doing the business that we, the people, and mostly the students, need you to continue doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your kids want to say anything?
No. Is there any other public comment in the audience? No? Okay. All right, with that, we will be moving into closed session at 5:04 p.m. We will reconvene the meeting at 6:27. And if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and if I can get an approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Candelaria Orr.
I have one comment on the agenda first.
Okay.
C1, it says existing litigation, and there's no existing litigation. That MSC 192340 was settled on August 9th when the judgment ruled in favor of Cloverdale Unified School District.
Is this the one?
And didn't you have some items you wanted to pull?
We can approve it and
We'll
still
do
pull
that
them.
at the,
Okay.
on the, when we get the consent.
So, do you amend your motion to approve with correcting C1 to remove existing?
Yes.
Okay. So do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Mendoza Torres. Preferential?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. All right, so we will move on to public comment on consent and non-agenda items. The public may address the board on any consent or non-agenda items pursuant to the Brown Act. During this period, the board cannot consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person per item and 20 minutes per topic. And we will, are you ready for your clock? And the first person we will call is Angela Cordova.
I'm asking for the board to agendize a forensic audit of SCLS, being that we found abuse of public funds by trustee Addison and Garrison and McLean, possibly charging non-billable hours since Jennifer Nix was recently caught doing this and a whistleblower in her office had turned her in. This is a serious matter. We're a small district and we should not be wasting our money or abusing it for that matter. On another note, Trustee Garrison and Addison, today I had the pleasure of being in court for Mr. Lucchetti, and I was honored to hear the judge thank Mr. Lucchetti for his 29 years of dedicated service as an educator, and also acknowledged his impeccable record. Those were her words, words that you too should never forget. I witnessed her gladly say she was happy to enter into a diversion dismissal of his case. I also spoke to the district attorney, who mentioned this case was politically charged and it was a high-profile case. I told him I would refer to it as bullshit. And as I said that, he smiled. And the way that he smiled, his smile said it all, that he agreed. Now Mr. Lucchetti can continue on in his final moments of his career, as he hopefully enters into his retirement year right around the corner. Our community will never forget nor forgive your disgraceful, dishonest, embarrassing, expensive attack on Mr. Lucchetti, all at the cost of CUSD children, their education, and the taxpayers' expense, to which you failed. You failed to ruin that legend in our community, but you let our community down from your own personal agenda.
Thank you.
Just to
Next.
clarify, the district attorney did charge Mark Lucchetti with 5 counts.
He was
charged,
charged,
failure
and it's going to be dismissed, so
as
don't
a
try to
mandated
say
reporter.
it's not.
And Rather than plead guilty, the judge gave him diversion today to work off those 5 counts.
Okay, the next name to be called upon is TAC. Whoever wants to come up for TAC.
Renee Duvander, TAC Vice President. I'm coming today to talk about the item I-111, which is kind of awkward for the 3 of us who are here because we are all also on the Professional Development Committee. So we recommended this one, but then our membership raised some concerns, and we weren't able to answer their concerns at yesterday's meeting. And so we have to pose those concerns to you now because it's on your agenda. So they are alarmed by the price tag, and they want to know what sort of guarantee or assurances we're getting with that sort of price tag. Like, are we going to see significant change with the price tag like that? They also, don't have my notes. Hang on, let's see if I have them. Well, I took notes.
Sorry, while you're looking, wouldn't this be brought up under consent?
No, you can pause this. No, this is actually public comment, says on
But
any
it's on
Yeah, but it's on the agenda.
I-111, so it's an agendized item.
But it's on the consent calendar, so it's on
Oh, so
any
you just talked
consent
about-
or
okay,
non-agenda
got it.
items.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
Also concerned about where the funding is coming from. So they're wondering what pool of funding the $232,000 is coming from. And there was a lot of pushback on the 3 hours for one training, which is something that the PD committee has to address because we've had a lot of feedback in previous surveys about having more choice in our professional developments and selection, and then having 2 trainings that are all-inclusive seem to have raised some alarm for our teachers. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we will move on to the closed session reportable action taken. During closed session, under item C1, the board approved with a 4-to-1 vote for a settlement agreement between the district and Angela Cordova. Under C2, there was no reportable action taken. Under C3, the governing board approved certificated staff, do I say reclassified, or a reclassification for a certificated staff member. The board approved the hiring of classified staff. The governing board approved coaching resignation, and the governing board approved a classified management resignation. Under C4, there was no reportable action taken. And we will move on to the consent calendar.
I would pull, if we can, let's pull, since the question was brought up, let's pull the 111, and then also let's pull 15 and 16. 115 and 116.
115 and 116. Is there any other items on the consent calendar that any trustees would like to pull?
No.
Okay, with that, can we get a motion to approve I-1.1 through 1.10? I'm sorry, yes. And I-1.12 through I-14 and I-.17, 1.17.
I'll make a motion to approve agenda items or consent calendar items I-1 down to I-110, and then I-112 to I-114, and then I-117.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by trustee Candela Orr and a second by trustee Garrison. Preferential?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. So the first one is, that we'll pull is I-1.11, Proposal for West Ed Professional Development.
Yeah, so a couple questions were, okay. A couple questions were asked, and I guess, Nicole, did you want to come up and maybe answer a couple of those questions that were there for the board that were asked?
Sure. So I guess the question about a guarantee, I don't think there's any guarantee in professional development about what the results will be. The proposal there tells us what they're presenting and what we will be doing in the next 3 years. So any PD that they present to us, coaching, helping us design and evaluate our current Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 systems that we have, helping us develop walkthrough tools to look at instruction, tools to look at and develop each of our tiers that are district-wide aligned as well as school site specific to look at those needs both for academic, behavior, social, emotional, and attendance, helping us look and train all levels of individuals. The purpose of the 3-hour training is that as we launch this work, we want to make sure that everybody has the basic understanding of MTSS and aligning our terminology so that as we begin to roll things out, everybody has that basis to start with. The afternoon portion of that 3 hours is an active shooter training that is separate from the MTSS. So I don't know if you need more information on that. Funding-wise, it's coming from one-time dollars from, I believe, ESSER 3, is it the 3? ESSER 3 funds, which we are allowed to use for MTSS development, social emotional development, looking at building, scaffolding for addressing needs that happen during COVID or post-COVID. So really they're going to help us from the ground up on building the systems and providing the professional development that we need to do so, as well as help us do the change so that it's lasting change. The 3-year plan is $232,000, I believe. I could be off by a little bit there. That covers all 3 years. It covers everything that they do, including their flights, their hotels, their travel, meals, everything. So it's a one inclusive amount for everything. Normally when you do professional development, sometimes you have the stipend for the development itself and then you have all the extra pieces. This is everything in a bundle. We have unlimited coaching hours that we can also use to call, and the sites will be able to call as well.
And I would say to add on to that, what we talked about in our meetings when we were talking about this is that one thing that's frustrating as both an employee and an administrator is that it seems like every single year that we have professional development, it's like one little trick pony every time, and then we just move on to the next thing the next year and the next thing the next year. So we really wanted it, what we talked about was having something that's sustainable for 3 years, that we're going to dive in, and everything points to that. And we, as you see in there, we met with 4, and we felt like these guys were really going to be with us on the journey instead of it just being like virtual training and every once in a while. So it seems like schools are famous for that, just kind of seeing the new kind of thing that comes out, and it's like we bring somebody in for, $25,000 to say, hey, this is what we're doing, and then they go away and it never really takes any roots. So the idea really, we had some really good discussions on it, and it was pretty unanimous. Wasn't pretty unanimous. It was unanimous that this company fits right in what we're talking about as far as really building us and holding our hand the whole way. Trust me, we all had sticker shock, but they were all expensive, really. It's just we are paying a little bit more of a premium, I would say, because of the in-person part, and them being here from the ground all the way to that part. So I would just say that was the resounding part about just making sure we have a plan that we're going to stick with instead of just, again, kind of hit and miss on different topics that come up. So I appreciate that.
Does any trustees have any questions or?
When would the first payment would be due November 15th, 2023. And looking at the termination clause, we have 30 days to cancel. When would the first PD training be? And would that, I mean, I'm just trying to think of a way that would maybe satisfy, like if we weren't satisfied with their training at the first get-go, we would have time to cancel it and not have that.
Our first training is November 1st. That is our all-staff PD day. That is coming up pretty quickly. And so that would be our all-staff day. We're looking for them to be on campus, on site, on November 1st for the all-staff, and then on the 2nd to start doing some trainings with the district MTSS team and the site MTSS teams. Since they're already here and paying for the flights and hotels, we want to take advantage of them for a second day.
So I guess my question would be, does that 30-day window cover us? If we're not satisfied with it, we can cancel it, and just, I guess, to make the staff that is concerned with it, let them know that we do have that option of.
Yeah, and I mean, we would be starting, we would have some FaceTime with them before that 30 days, so that's
Yeah.
what you're asking.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. I don't know how much we're going to glean necessarily of our entire program, but it certainly would give us an idea of the people that are there and the kind of I guess the first direction would be, yes. I would
Well-
say, yeah.
And then I think my other question would also be like the metrics that looking at the success of it, like when would you maybe report out to us about, the metrics and what do those metrics look like? And what are you guys focusing on to see whether or not this $32,000 is actually going to be helpful, I guess?
My plan would be, this would be in our fabric that we'd report back to you at least quarterly, if not sooner than that.
Okay.
So you would just see another report on MTSS, and we would, depending on, it could be any different type of people that would be able to report back on that, certainly. And again, the focus is really on this topic, right? And so it's going to be in the fabric of everything that we're doing. And so that includes you guys, right? So we're going to have to report to that. I would want, we should be held accountable for what we're doing, just like we're holding this group, West Ed accountable, is just as much we're going to be accountable to you guys and everything too, as far as reporting and seeing what things are doing. And of course, this is going to be, they're going to try to cater it to what we're going to need to use it for, right? And thanks to. So that's what was so important about having them here with us, as opposed to just doing the virtual stuff.
Student board rep, do you have any comments or questions? Okay.
And I will say, all the initiatives we've talked about over the year I've been here, talking about English learners, talking about our need to raise our reading scores and our math scores, all of that fits in attendance, all of that fits under MTSS. So this is kind of going forward, kind of the way we make that make sense, as well as build from the ground up. And they are very experienced with the systems, and they're going to have those systems of change and implementation work for how we want those tiers to look, right? So that was one of the other standout that we saw with them, is they were assisting us in our journey. Some of the other programs were like, hey, we have this lovely platform, and we have some PD that can go with it, and we'll make you fit into the puzzle, instead of let's build our own puzzle to make it work, right? So that's another reason that the team really liked West Ed.
Thank you. Any other discussion? And do you guys want to
Let's just do the 15, 16, and we'll just do them all as a group,
together?
if you don't mind. Yeah, did you? Okay. So on 15, I-115, the Cloverdale Unified Employee Handbook, we are still, I just wanted to get that in the packet, just so you guys can have it and see it. We're still working with, trying to get all the different stuff in there correctly. I'm working with TAC, I'm working with CSEA group and everything like that too. But I just wanted to initially put it in there just so everybody has it and can read it. So if anybody has any questions on it at this point, or things that are glaring, let me know. And then, but it'll come back next time in more of our discussion action part. And then I would say that's the same thing for the second one on 16, is we met last time, I want to say what, almost a month ago maybe, and so we're just finalizing that. But again, I just wanted to get it in your guys' hands first, and then see if we needed to update it at all, and then that will come back also for discussion and action at the next board meeting as well.
so we're not approving these tonight.
So I don't want to, yeah,
Okay.
correct.
So, yeah, that stays here. That goes too, okay. Okay, so do we want,
So I would just ask for a motion to do 111, if you so, 111, and then we'll just leave the other two off.
okay. All right, do we have a motion to approve I-111 proposal for West Ed professional development?
I move to approve I-111.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Garrison to approve I-111. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second by trustee Mendoza Torres. And preferential?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. Okay, and we are tabling I-15 and I-16, which will come back to us next month. Moving on to association reports. J1, California School Employees Association does not have a report tonight. And J2, Teachers Association of Cloverdale.
Renee Duvander, TAC Vice President. TAC wants to draw your attention to a pressing issue that affects the academic development of our students. Our concerns revolve around the lack of effective reading intervention and support programs in our district, especially at Jefferson Elementary, where it is most crucial. Jefferson Elementary School has a long history of striving for academic excellence, but it is disheartening to witness the decline in reading intervention programs over the past few years. Even before COVID, many of our students were already reading at a deficit. Upon our return to regular instruction, many districts invested in increasing their reading intervention programs to address the learning loss. CUSD, however, began reducing the reading intervention teaching positions. The situation has become even more critical with the discontinuation of the previous reading program, leaving our students in a precarious position. Currently, our students receive a hybrid version of the SIPS program for reading intervention. However, there are several issues that raise significant concerns. There is a lack of credentialed teachers. Our students lack the expertise and guidance of a credentialed teacher responsible for delivering intervention instruction, potentially compromising the quality of education they receive. There's reduced class time. The intervention classes now have shorter durations, limiting our students' opportunities to catch up with their peers in reading skills. There's larger student groups. The class sizes for interventions have significantly increased, which impacts the personalized attention and support our students require. We have concerns about the staff longevity. We worry about the sustainability of the current classified staff running the intervention groups, given the substantial increase in their workload. These issues have collectively led to a widening of the gap in reading proficiency among our students, jeopardizing their academic development and future prospects. This situation not only affects individual students, but also reflects negatively on the overall educational quality provided by CUSD. If our ultimate goal is to ensure that every student at Jefferson Elementary School has access to a high-quality education that enables them to achieve their full potential, then it is necessary to have a long-term plan for reestablishing a sustaining the intervention program at Jefferson Elementary School, with a focus on maintaining a stable and qualified teaching staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we will move on to school reports. K-1 Jefferson Elementary School.
They were emailed to us.
Yeah, I'm gonna let them.
Good evening. In a comprehensive way, our staff is utilizing many pathways to make learning relevant to our students on our Jefferson campus. And I just wanted to highlight and add some additional information to what you have in my board report to you. Our attendance at Jefferson for month 1 was 95%, and month 2 was 94%. And as we move through the rest of the month, we're averaging a total of 95% for both months. We are in week 5 of our beginning of our intervention program. We're focusing on phonics through SIPS program, and we have our first round of district-wide data, our STAR and STAR early literacy data, and we have some positive results from that. We also had our first literacy meeting at Jefferson to discuss our Tier 1 plan, which is through SCO for the year. And some of our teachers are attending meetings at SCO in support of this plan, which is the science of reading, and is part of this plan. Moving on to some other areas, we had our first ELAC meeting, and we had over 25 participants. We'll have another meeting at the end of this month to put us at the end of the month cycle for the rest of the year. Things that came out of that meeting were a desire for tutoring, as parents who don't speak English can't help their children with homework, and we're looking at some after-school programs to support that in response to that request. Our character assembly this month is speaking to responsibility and being responsible, and so we have books available in the library for that, as well as many resources for teachers to use in the classroom. And then the students are rotating through our monthly assembly program as well. And finally, our Halloween parade is coming up, October 31st at 8:30 a.m. You can come and see us start our parade at Jefferson campus, and then also parade to the district, as is tradition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next report we have is Washington School.
Hello. I didn't print it out because I emailed it, but that's why this clunky thing is up here now. Very good to see everybody. This month, we have had for our attendance, 5th and 6th grade has been at 94%, and 7th and 8th grade has been at 93.8%. They have actually risen a little bit in the right direction, but I was hoping for more. We have cleaned up our attendance, as in families who moved and things like that. We have disenrolled and things like that. So we're kind of going in the right direction, but we obviously still want it to be better. We had 6th grade caveman days came back to campus, which was just a lot of fun. And apparently it was going on for many years, and then it stopped for any number of reasons. And it was so great, though, to see the students out there, to see them with their teachers. They're having a good time, and they are learning from each other. And that's just something that I think is always great to see. And I watched them trying to build a shelter out on the lawn, and they had a lot of lessons about you can't just ram a PVC pipe into the ground. You have to come up with a different technique. And so I was watching just how they figured that out, and it was fascinating, actually. And we had a great parent turnout, so we had lots of parents out there helping and just really helping us manage with the students, but mostly looks like they were just having fun with them as well. We also had 5th grade movie night. They watched Brother Bear, which I haven't seen yet, but I have been told I need to. It didn't make a huge amount of money, but it's a step in the right direction for them. They will probably be having another one. We had our first ELAC meeting last night. I thought it went very well. We got some great feedback from families, and we were able to kind of continue some of the conversations that were started at the district, the DLAC meeting. And so that was really good, and I feel like our next ELAC meeting is probably going to be even bigger, because it was very positive, and I can imagine that word will get out that yes, let's do this. Let's all get to know each other and talk about the school and come up with a president and a vice president, which we're going to do at the next meeting. Our school counselor, Emily Grant, has started doing, well, actually, she just finished today, bullying presentations for all grades at Washington. In my submitted version, I gave you a link for the PowerPoint. And Christine Kane has been doing some amazing work about All About Me brochures. I couldn't submit them online, but if you want to see them, she's really teaching them to do a lot of great things. Everything from research to taking pictures to writing captions to formatting and that sort of thing to create these brochures. And it's really a lot of learning when you look at the details. I brought some if anyone wants to see them. They're in my bag. Washington's library, I would have to describe that as the new hotspot on campus. And that's what everybody wants. You always kind of want your library to be the hub, and our library right now is an absolute hub of activity. And we have about 200 new books in there, and our library tech is doing book talks, book clubs, and just making it a really fun and inviting place, and they do crafts and have contests and things like that. Our new bus and pickup, our drop-off and pickup is going really well. We had a little process where we had to figure out where's the best place to drive in, drive out, how to, all of that. So it was a little exciting a couple of times, and then we smoothed it out, and now we're rolling right along, which I think is a good thing. The annual Turkey Trot event is being held next month, which is the 16th. It's during school. Students who participate earn an ice cream, and the top 2 finishers win a turkey. So cool. And the races are around the field, and 5th and 6th grade run together, 7th and 8th run together, boys and girls run separately. The 5th grade Living History Challenge is coming up on Friday. There is also a link in the submitted version for you, and that should also be another fun day to kind of put the students' learning to the test. And we have, next week, we have Spirit Days coming up, so if you drop by school and you see everyone in their jammies, that would mean that it's Monday. And Tuesday is Twin Day, Wednesday is Pink Out Day, Thursday is Childhood Backpack, Friday is Ken and Barbie, and then Monday is School Spirit Dress Up Blue and Gold. And then on Tuesday, it's Halloween, so we plan on having a blowout. And we have award assemblies coming up on November 3rd, and the times are in the submitted version.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, we have Cloverdale High School, JEH.
Hello, everybody. Hello. So I have my report as submitted, and I just wanted to highlight a couple things. Our sports programs are going well. Volleyball beat the #1 seed yesterday in a super exciting game, so that's fantastic. We're going to the playoffs, and if we beat the team tomorrow, then we'll be in even a better seed, so that's fantastic. Our cheer team has grown. We now have 7 cheerleaders, so that's good. We've been really growing that program. Jennifer Wilson's fantastic, and we have cheer outfits, so it's great because now our girls have outfits. They were just wearing kind of t-shirts before, so that's really nice. GEH has our first graduate of the year, so that's super exciting. That's fantastic. And then I also want to highlight that we are starting a digital hall pass system, which I'm sure we'll have opinions on. And so that's something we're looking at onboarding tomorrow, and next week we're going to train the teachers, and so this is something that we're trying out. I have Sean Jeske, our campus supervisor, going to Elsie Allen to observe. They have the same digital hall pass system, so he's going to see how it works in action, and so we're hoping to reduce the number of students out of class and time in the bathroom. So I'm sure maybe your students might have opinions on those. So well, it'll be very interesting to see kind of next board meeting, reporting how it's going. So the rest of my report is submitted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll move on to Special Education and Student Services report.
So I was just planning on saying as submitted. Do you have any questions for me? No?
No.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we will move on to agenda item M, Curriculum Instruction and Accountability Report.
I will say as submitted, but I do want to say, DLAC, we had 27 parents.
Yeah, there were a lot.
It's a record. We had great attendance, and our next meeting is next Thursday on the 26th. And as submitted, unless you have any other questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item N, Maintenance Operations and Transportation Report. No report, sounds good. We will move on to item, Student Board Representative.
I also do not have much to report, just that senior conferences have been happening with the counselor, and so far it's been positive reviews from people I've talked to, and that's it.
Thank you. All right, and then we'll move on to board reports. Whoever wants to start.
I guess I'll talk to DLAC too. It was really lovely to see so many people there and actually participating. But I'll also talk, I went to homecoming and saw the skits. I actually watched them this year. I just took my daughter last year to watch them. Barbie was my favorite. That was by far, I enjoyed that one the most, but they were all so fantastic to see everyone so excited in the plaza. Went to homecoming, and that was a really great time as well. So it's nice to be able to kind of get to some activities that I don't normally get to. So that's all I have to report out.
Thank you.
Lots of Measure H meetings. We have changed because I know I've extended it to the community. We're going to every other week, so starting next week, we will not have it, but it'll be every other week on Tuesdays, 10 o'clock. And we'll wait until that agenda item. We did receive funding, so that's exciting though, to start the TK project at Jefferson. We had a SARB board meeting, and it was different this time. The student and parent requested to have the meeting with us, and that is not typical. And those will be monthly as well. So that's all I have to report.
Yeah, on Measure H, that committee has dogged following up on that TK funding through several superintendents in several years, and it's pretty exciting that we've got over $7 million because we had everything in place to build a new TKK facility, which you'll hear about later. And then I had the pleasure of participating in the Tour Divine ride this weekend, which has many of the service clubs and nonprofits in town, and it all raises money that, for the most part, ends up supporting our schools and the youth in our community. So that was a very successful event. That's it.
Thank you.
I attended the CARE meeting yesterday. I didn't get to be at the pit stop, but they had a really, really good time at Tour Divine, and got to raise some money for our students. We still meet on Tuesday, so if you're welcome, anyone's welcome to join and come to our CARE board meetings. And then DLAC, I also attended. It was really nice. There was a lot of food, there was a lot of kids, but by the end there was no more food, which is fine. And then we split up into groups to talk to the different school sites and really do kind of a round table with parents, and it was awesome to see so many parents there and hear their concerns and get to meet Glenn, which was very nice. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you. We had a school city subcommittee meeting on Monday. A lot of it was standing items that we're currently working on. We're still working to finalize the cooperative agreement. Still waiting for the employee to become available with the the city for the SRO. Something that did come up that we discussed that was an easy fix was at Kleiser Park. There was concern about not having a trash bin close to the street, and there's garbage everywhere, so Glenn offered to move the trash can closer to the street, and hopefully that'll mitigate the issue. So if you're watching this out there, please use the garbage cans. And we also agreed to move our meeting schedule to, instead of every other month, we're going quarterly, and it's still going to be on Mondays at 5 p.m. Other than that, nothing else for city school subcommittee. Also attended the homecoming skits. Those were great, and the homecoming game. Yeah, been all over the place doing school events with the kids, so it's been great. And I have nothing else to report. So, superintendent report.
Well, I guess I'll take credit for all that. No, it was just, it actually feels really good to be able to be on the kind of the latter end of a lot of these projects that were started way before I got here. I talked about it last time that we finally bought that piece from the city, that finally went through. It's the longest, like, in the history of trying to buy something. So I would just say that it's been great here. I love working here. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it quite a bit so far. I also worked the Asti Tour Divine as well. As a matter of fact, I was at the same rest stop as the CARE Foundation, so we got to spend some time there. The weather was probably not great, felt like home, actually. I've had the pleasure of being a crossing guard at both Washington and Jefferson. I've taken tickets at a couple of the games, which has been great. It's actually a really good way to meet everybody from the community. It's amazing how many people come to our events. And so just seeing a lot of people has been great. I was going to say about the bus service, it was nice to get that back up and running again. We've had a few challenges getting that back together, and we've just made some adjustments. I know at Washington we moved we no longer go in the crescent moon shape there, we do it to the outside. As you all know, Washington is kind of not a lot of good in and out there for cars. So we're trying to mitigate that as much as possible. And then we'll get to the Measure H update and everything like that too. But yeah, everybody else is on the same committees that I'm on, so it's been going well.
Could I add one more thing? Glenn and I actually went to go to the Alphabet Parade. I've got to give a shout out to the Kinder team. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. That was probably the best parade I have ever seen on a school campus. Just seeing all of the older kids cheering them on. And yes, some of the Kinders were a little freaked out by it, but it was just so cute to see all the participation and like the camaraderie on JES. So thank you so much. It was lovely.
Yes, the Apple costume was out too. Good job.
Yes.
But anyway, it's been great. And everybody here, I would say, I know our team is new, but everybody seems to be fitting in, and we're enjoying our time here. If I could speak for the group, it's been going well.
Awesome. All right, we will move on to our report and discussion. R1, Measure H update.
So we have the update in from Kevin in there, and I would just say that with your approval tonight, we're basically going to set our architects Strata AP kind of on their path to start designing and doing everything like that. And then we will be submitting a bunch of stuff. This is kind of one of those, we kind of have a lull now, basically, where the professionals kind of go and do their thing at this point, and then we put it into DSA, and then we just sit on our hands for a while. I would say one of the things that came out remember we talked about there being a quick timetable of 2 years that we had to design and build by 2 years. They did extend that to 3 years. Although we are still going to we're hoping to still do it in 2 years, but there's a lot of things that aren't in our control, right? So, but it is nice to have that little buffer that we have in case we need it. And then, I don't know if you guys have anything else on Measure H from the committee as far as what we've accomplished
Well,
so
we do
far.
have a plan to relieve traffic at Washington, which now that we've acquired
Yes.
the property, has been submitted to get a permit to do all that.
Right, and I am meeting next Wednesday with Debbie, that's the CEO of Alexander Valley Healthcare, and we are basically on their timeline for when that street goes in. So I'm hoping to get a little bit better, clearer timeline from her. I don't want to overhope, but it's going to be a few years, is my guess. And usually the streets are one of the last things that they put in, but we'll see what she has to say, so I'm hopeful. And then I did meet with the city regarding the potential new drop-off for the TKK project, and that should be no problem being able to get an encroachment permit there or anything like that too. So we're hoping that's going to alleviate some of the drop-off area. And that would be over in, what street is that?
Venezia.
Venezia, I can never remember that, dang it.
I think. Watch, I got it wrong.
Don't lead me astray here. So it'll be on that side, and then that way, as you know, that TK and K will have their own playground right by a fence. So they'll be led into that, which would be kind of in that same area. Because one of the concerns that was brought up is if we bring them at front, they've got quite a ways to walk back in there, right? So this will be a little bit better, and hopefully, like I said, alleviate some of that, that part. But, and then we will be, towards the later end of our future agenda items, we'll be talking about what we're going to do with the south property, too. We're going to look at what our plans are. We're getting to a point now where we've got to figure out what we're going to do with that, if we're going to go all in or if we're going to do something else. We'll talk about setting up a meeting that's on U1 where it says instead of a special board meeting, just to be able to discuss that, because that's a fairly deep discussion on that. So I don't know unless you guys have anything else for Measure H that was on that, but that should be pretty much it.
Does anyone have any questions? All right, we will move on to R2, Early Education Facilities Project
I
update.
think I must have just put that one into R1. So we're still looking at modulars. We have an RFP that's going to go out that is, or an RFQ, I can't remember, and it's going out to get modular companies to put in for that. And then we've also got Strata AP, which is going to be our architect. We also have Geocon, which is going to come in and do some boring to make sure that the land we're putting it on works. And then we've also got Dudek that's also going to do some CEQA stuff, all this permitting and everything like that too. So a lot of that's going to be getting started. We're going to do those, the drilling and stuff on a Saturday in November, a couple Saturdays in November. So it won't disrupt anything going on at school. And then that was pretty much it for the TK facilities.
Okay, moving on to R3.
And we got our funding, obviously.
We got our funding, yes.
Matter of fact, we received a grant agreement for the 1.2 designing part of it, right? So I just signed that, and I think that's supposed to hit our bank account by November 1st, I believe. It's supposed to come in our first piece.
All right, moving on to R3, Facility Master Plan update.
All right. So we have somebody here for that, and so I'll bring her up, and she can introduce herself. Jennifer, right?
Yep. First time meeting you in person, so thank you so much, Glenn, for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Board President, trustees, superintendent, staff, and community. I'm Jennifer Gibb. I am a program manager with Van Pelt, one of your Kevin's counterpart, and I've been supporting the district, and Van Pelt has been supporting the district in your master planning process since the 2016, and then we've been stewarding throughout the years as we've been completing projects, and now kind of go into this next wave. Congratulations. I didn't get to say it, but I'm so excited about the TK money. You don't know how excited I am. I mean, Preston does, but that has been a long time. So very excited to see what you do, and well-deserved. So thank you again. I believe this is the clicker. Okay. Tonight I'm going to we're just going to talk about the 2016 master plan. It's been 8 years, right? A lot has been accomplished, but a lot has changed not only with your facilities, but also with just the programmatic opportunities, some unfunded mandates that you've been, the TK, we didn't know that in 2016. So a lot of that, and I just wanted to get some direction from the board on how we can move forward with planning and support you best that we can as we think about facilities, master planning, and more that long-term vision. You do have some short-term goals you're working on right now, but I want us to start thinking, like, in 2016, it got us to here, so how can we now continue to move forward? Maybe. Oh, turn it on. That might help. Sorry. Can you please? Oh, thank you. Okay, we will, thank you. I'm just going a brief timeline, and for those of you that weren't here throughout the entire process, or for the community, some high-level projects completed, what Measure H did, and the next steps, and really where we need your direction. Next, okay. Thank you. Okay, timeline. June of 2016, you adopted the master plan that you see before you today. It identified in 2016 $139 million of projects. In 2018, November, you passed Measure H, which was $46 million for a local general obligation bond. The easy math, $100 million less than what you needed, right? But thank you, community, so generous, the board, everyone, and you've done a lot with that money. You have leveraged it. I know I don't have it, but I believe Ms. Eisman was here from King Consulting. She's keeping you updated on just all your funding from the state. You've leveraged that local funds significantly, and you've been able to go even further. Between 18 and 23, you did a ton of district-wide projects, but really this year, you had some significant things happen. You submitted that TK application. Congratulations, you just got awarded. And so that's really taking you, finishing up Measure H, and moving you forward to the next stage of what do we do. And that's where we are today. Next slide. I'm going to just really high overview of some of the Measure H and how it integrates with the 2016 master plan. Next slide. No, do not apologize. Okay, Measure H, that's from your website, right? All the things that you promised with Measure H and that it could support based on the master plan that you did. Again, much more need. This is very common. It is not, unique to Cloverdale. Unfortunately, there's always more capital facility needs ever than dollars available. And that's why it's so important for you as a board to go out and leverage any state funding or federal funding that you might have. And then again, we're always appreciative when our communities support those local general obligation bonds or any type of local support. And I know with the city, you have a lot of discussions and, really being thoughtful planners as agencies. You've done that too here in the community, so that's great as well. Some of the more marquee projects we know that we've completed is at Jefferson. We did our 2-story building. We now have our TK coming on board. The middle school, you have your gymnasium project, and then all the athletic spaces at the high school. So really, Measure H has done a lot for us in the master plan from 2016, but a lot of things have come up between 16, 18, and today. Just to name a few that we all know, but remembering we just came out of a global pandemic, right? Like that really happened. The way we teach our kids and our students and the way our staff interacts as, staff and then their pedagogy, all of that has changed, right? And we want to be thoughtful about that in the learning spaces that they have. We have TK now. We never had that in 16 or in 18. And we don't know how at the state level they want to even think about early childhood education. We're really focusing on transitional, right? The 4-year-olds. Is there a move for 3-year-olds? We don't know. We need to be prepared for that as educators and stewards of the educational system. Another unfunded mandate, nutritional services, right? A whole separate thing that's come your way that you're now supporting your community with. So again, we're just coming down. There's future and some things that everyone's kind of aware of. We have Title 24 changes, which are all your energy changes that are coming down, solar requirements on all of our new buildings or EV charging. We have lead remediation and water. I mean, if you can name it, it probably has something that's happened since 16 to now. And how can we, you as the board, be thoughtful planners and leaders in kind of understanding what the next 10 years are going to look like, right? So that's where the next slide, thank you, really is. How can we, Van Pelt staff, this process help guide the board and the community in the next steps in planning for the next 10 years? So some opportunities I just wanted to open up for comment, but do we want to utilize the analysis from 16 and update it with current pricing? Does the board feel that that would be fruitful? Do we want to kind of say, 16 happened, it's 8 years ago, we want to move forward, let's look at what our current needs are, what those priorities are they in alignment with your LCAP and really your vision as a strategic plan of the district and where you're moving, and the monies you have today and/or could get tomorrow. I would love some direction on that. Does this process, do you want it at the board level? Do you want more interaction at this level or in study sessions? How can we support you on that as well as, or at a committee level and then have the committee report up? And then community engagement. There's all varied levels of community engagement. So we're happy to support you in any type of outreach and or educational opportunities about facilities. How can we support you? So that's really the presentation, and also a request if I could have some input or any other things. So that's it. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I would just say that Jennifer and I spoke. So what would be helpful is that I know we have a Measure H committee right now, but this is really kind of beyond that, right? Because the Measure H committees actually should be winding down once we get the lot line adjustment, stuff done at the middle school, right, with the new bus turnout, as well as really the bus turnout is going to be the end. We're using some Measure H funds for the TK also. So once those two projects are done, then that committee's kind of gone, will have kind of outlived. So what I guess my question would be is that, as Jennifer said, is do we want to have these discussions at a board level? Do we want to create a new, facility master plan committee? How do we want to do that? And then I think what she said before about updated facility master plan, do we want to just kind of update the costs from what we got in front of us? Or do we want to actually do another dive into what this looks like?
We also have the South Field that was Measure
And the South
H
Field,
too.
thank you.
I'd suggest that those three big things you brought up, one was the turnout, the TKK, and the South Field, and you talked about doing a special board meeting for that. I think the whole board needs kind of a chance to digest all this information, and maybe during that special session, once the board's had a chance to kind of look at where we've come to and those mandated things that we have to do and have approved, then I think the board will be in a better place to kind of formulate, okay, what's the next step we want to push as a board.
And I think with that too is showing what kind of funding we have coming back from our, modernization funds and things like that, and what timing looks like on that. So, okay.
Yep. I wasn't involved in the 2016 process, so I don't really know how that process went. I would just like to reflect on what you said. You had said something about making sure it aligns with our LCAP, and I think that's something that's important that we need to really evaluate and make sure what we have does align with the LCAP. And then with all the new administration everywhere, what they're seeing everywhere and with fresh eyes.
Yeah, it goes off of the fact that I would love to kind of look at our current needs as well, because obviously it's a big jump between then and now. So that would probably be really important for me anyways.
I was just going to say the last facilities master plan, it was like a huge project that we took on, and it was a significant cost. There's little small things like repairing, baseboards or, the door frames or something like that. But then there was also larger things of, different sites where we, like looking in here at the high school, there was one of possibly changing the road on School Street and having it be a curvy thing. So like how small and how big do we want to go? And if that's not something that we want to move forward with, then it should be taken out or changed to what our vision or, what the committee's vision is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all board members taking some time to digest
Yes,
this whole
yeah.
packet first. And then I think everybody will be ready, and like you said, looking at what's the budget, we're looking at what is the scope of Measure H for those other 3 projects that are still outstanding, and then we can kind of formulate where we're going to go, and what next steps and what type of process we need to follow. How big is the scope? How big is the budget?
So it sounds like to me that we would keep it at the board level until we figure out what we want to do, and then make a decision at that point to decide if we want to continue at the board level or then go to a committee type thing. Yeah, okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. There's any other questions? Glenn will get them to me, but I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so
for
much.
allowing me to come out.
Thank you, Jennifer.
And it might be helpful to have Jennifer participate in that special session, too.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be there. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. So we will move on to, where are we at? S, discussion, action, consideration and acceptance of donations. So we have Richard Green donated a Chicago Electric 90 amp welder and welding safety equipment to Cloverdale High School. Todd Lands donated 8 bundles of architectural roofing shingles. Boxes of roofing, roof capping, roll of felt, and a box of roofing nails to Cloverdale High School. Care Foundation donated $500 to Jefferson School 4th grade, $2,000 to Cloverdale High School, and $375 to Jefferson School. And Lightning Athletics donated $679.50 to Cloverdale High School cheer. So thank you, everyone, for the donations.
Yes, thank you.
If we can
I'll move to approve.
move to approve by trustee Addison.
I'll second.
Second by trustee Candelaria Orr. Preferential?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. And we will move on to S2, consideration and possible approval of architectural services agreement with Strata AP for early education facilities project.
Yeah, so we did an RFP basically for the architects. We chose Strata AP, and then we sent Kevin on his way to negotiating a good price. I would say that we started around $700,000 and we ended up to about a little under $600,000. So we feel like this is a good spot for us to be, and they will be with us through the duration of the project. So what we're asking you to do is to approve basically their amount quote, if you will, and then I'm going to work with legal to have them develop a contract, basically, that is for that. But I'll just, basically, by approving this, you're authorizing me to enter into a contract with them for the said amount. And I would just say that just on a personal note, when I came from a different district that didn't have a Van Pelt Construction Services, it's a lot it's very nice to have somebody that knows what they're talking about instead of me pretending like I was knowing what I was talking about. So I would just say that they're, like I said, coming from a district that didn't have it to now a district that does have it, they're worth their weight in gold as far as I'm concerned. So because I'm a math teacher by trade, it doesn't really relate or to figuring out what architectural services were required or not. So I've just, for what it's worth, I think it's a good investment in what we've been doing. So I feel pretty confident in what Kevin's been able to do and Van Pelt's been able to do for us. So very good.
All right, have any questions or discussion? Okay, if there's no discussion or questions, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Addison to approve.
I'll second.
A second by trustee Garrison. Preferential?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. All right, future agenda items, we still have master planning, Alexander Valley Healthcare Student Concerns, Board Policy 5111, TK and K admission, and field use.
And I would just say that the T4, the field use, is more the field use agreement. So what I've done is I have emails out to the different superintendents that I know that have a turf field just to see what they've got. I mean, it's beg, borrow, and steal at this point, right? So we're trying to get what that use agreement looks like for our new field that we've got, because that's a considerably different investment than just having a field, so I just want to let you know that.
Our next future board meeting dates,
Yeah, so we're looking at, like I said earlier about the special board meeting, I would like to have you look at next week to see what you have available for us to be able to talk about what we've been talking about.
Between
And it would be,
DLAC.
I would like to find a date where we can all be there too, because we got some big things to decide on.
Are you
We're talking
looking at
about-
evening or during the day or what?
It's really just dependent upon what everybody else has got, that's why I want to do it here.
I can't do during the day.
No, what I meant was that like 4 o'clock, I think is the earliest we can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, right? I don't think I can do anything next week.
Okay.
I can double check like my
That's fine.
two
What
other
about the
calendars.
30th week?
Monday? Or
I could do the 1st.
That's our PD day.
I know. I can do the 1st.
We're done here by 3:15, so we could do that at 4, 4:30, 5, whatever you guys decide. I don't know if that worked. Does the 1st work for everybody else?
I'm fine.
Sorry, we have a PD.
I can do any time that day.
I can't open
Ladies?
my calendar.
Huh? You don't have your calendar?
I can't open it. Sorry. Oh.
Luis, we might need some help up here for some technology. I'm just kidding.
There's no school that day. Does that matter?
Wednesday the 1st?
Correct.
I
It's
don't think-
professional development for staff.
Yeah, but we're done by
So, I just didn't know if that,
I don't think that would be an issue necessarily, no.
I'm available that day. November 1st. you
Gabby,
said?
did you get your,
Yes, I figured it out. Yes.
yes, you can do it? Do you want another phone?
Yeah. Hold on.
4:30, I think is the earliest we can start, right?
I can start at 6 a.m.
I was going to say, I can start whenever that day.
Well, I don't know we want to start at 6 a.m.
No, I don't want to start at 6 a.m. But, yeah.
I can't, I need to be at the other stuff, so 4, okay.
4:30.
For me, 4 o'clock is going to be the earliest I can do it.
Yeah, 4:30 sounds good.
Okay,
Or
so we are in
4:30.
agreement to a special board meeting on November 1st, 2023, here at 4:30 PM?
Yeah?
Okay, and
Okay.
after that, our next regular board meeting is November 15th, 2023, at 6 PM. And can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:34
Move to adjourn.
PM? All right. Motion by trustee Addison. Second?
I'll second.
Second, preferential? Aye. Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one is absent.